My name is Daniel. I'm 42 years old, and up until a year ago, I was a successful businessman. I owned 3 thriving import companies, lived in a penthouse overlooking the city, and drove the kind of cars most people only dream about. But none of that matters now, because the person I trusted the most destroyed everything. It started with a simple text from my accountant. Call me. Urgent. I didn't know it then, but that message would be the trigger for the darkest chapter of my life. My business partner, someone I considered family, had been embezzling money for months. Millions disappeared. Suppliers went unpaid. Contracts defaulted. By the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. The bank accounts were frozen. Lawsuits piled up. My name was dragged through the mud, guilty by association even, though I had no idea. Imagine waking up one day thinking you're on top of the world and going to bed with absolutely nothing. Gone. Everything. The house, the cars, the business. Even my so-called friends vanished. I spent months fighting. Lawyers, courtrooms, endless paperwork. Every day was a battle just to stay sane. And when the dust finally settled, I was left with nothing but debt and the crushing weight of betrayal. I'll never forget the moment I signed up for Uber. Sitting in my tiny rental apartment, staring at my old Toyota Corolla, the only thing the bank hadn't taken because it wasn't worth enough. I felt humiliated, embarrassed, but deep inside, I knew this wasn't how my story was going to end. That first ride, I can't even describe the feeling. Picking up strangers, smiling like nothing was wrong, pretending I wasn't the guy who used to negotiate million-dollar deals. But let me tell you something. There's a strange kind of freedom that comes when you hit rock bottom. Because when you've lost everything, you realize you've also lost your fear. And here's where things start to change. Because what happened during one of my Uber rides completely flipped the script. By the way, if you're finding this story inspiring so far, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps more than you think. And if you're curious about how I turned my life around, make sure you subscribe. Because what's coming next, you won't believe. Back to the story. It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon. I got a ping from the app, pick up at a luxury hotel downtown. When I pulled up, a man in a tailored suit stepped into the car. Polite, confident, but there was something else. As we drove, he started asking questions, personal ones, about my car, about my life, about my past. At first, I thought it was just small talk, but as the conversation went deeper, I realized this wasn't a regular passenger. He was testing me. For what? I had no idea. And then, right before he got out, he handed me a business card, just one sentence written on it. When you're ready to stop surviving and start building again, call me. What did that mean? Who was this guy? And why did it feel like my entire life was about to change? Again, I spent the entire drive home staring at that card. Just a name, Victor Rios, and a phone number. No company, no title, nothing else. It was like he wanted me to wonder, to question, to think. I sat in my car outside the apartment complex for almost an hour, fingers hovering over my phone, debating whether to call. But the truth? I was scared. Not scared of Victor, scared of hoping again, scared of being disappointed again. But rock bottom teaches you something about hesitation. If you wait too long, life just passes you by. So I called. It rang once, twice, then, click. Daniel. A deep voice answered, as if he'd been expecting me. Glad you called. My stomach tightened. How did you know it was me? Victor chuckled. I always know. Listen carefully. I have a proposition. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., corner of 7th and Main. Dress sharp. Be ready. Click. No explanation. No questions. Just a command. All night, I couldn't sleep. My mind raced with possibilities. Was this a job offer? Some scam? Or something bigger? Either way, anything was better than drowning in regret behind the wheel. At exactly 8:55 a.m., I pulled up. There he was. Victor. Standing outside a sleek, glass building, sipping coffee like he owned the entire block. Probably because he did. Daniel, he greeted with a firm handshake, eyes sharp as knives. Follow me. Inside, the lobby was marble and chrome. Men and women in suits zipped by, holding tablets, talking into earpieces. The kind of place I used to walk through like I belonged, back when life made sense. We stepped into a private elevator. Floor 28, penthouse. As the doors opened, I was hit by a 360-degree view of the entire city. And in the center, a massive desk, papers scattered, monitors flashing numbers, charts, deals in progress. Victor gestured for me to sit. I know your story, Daniel. Your partner, the betrayal, the collapse. I know every detail. My throat went dry. How? He smiled. Let's just say, I make it my business to know when talent gets wasted. He leaned forward. Here's the deal. You've got two choices. Keep driving Uber, or rebuild everything they took from you. But this time, smarter. With me. I sat frozen. Rebuild? How? Victor opened a folder, sliding it toward me. Inside, blueprints, contracts, business models. I'm offering you a partnership, not a handout. I invest. You build. But I need to know. Are you still that man, the fighter, the deal maker? Or did your partner take that from you too? His words hit harder than any punch. I looked him straight in the eye. I'm still that man, more than ever. Victor nodded slowly. Good, then we start now. But just as I was about to sign, Victor raised a hand. One more thing. If you accept this, there's no going back. This world, it's not like driving Uber. It's ruthless. High risk, high reward. You in? My hands trembled. My heart pounded. But deep down, I already knew my answer. I'm in. Victor grinned. Then welcome back to the game, Daniel. But little did I know. This new game had rules I wasn't prepared for. I stared at that message, my hands gripping the phone tighter than I realized. You don't deserve a second chance. You're going to fail again. Watch yourself. For a moment, doubt crept in. What if they were right? What if I really wasn't cut out for this anymore? But then I remembered. I'd already lost everything once. There was nothing left anyone could take from me except my will. And that they couldn't have. I snapped a photo of the message and sent it straight to Victor. Within seconds, he called. Block the number. Ignore it. This is noise. Welcome to the real world of business, Daniel. Not everyone wants you to win. I hung up, but his words echoed in my head. Noise. Focus. Back at my new office, I rolled up my sleeves and got to work. The delivery company wasn't a gold mine, yet. The fleet was old. Drivers were quitting. The software was outdated. Clients were frustrated. Honestly, I understood why nobody had seen the potential. Except me. But underneath all that mess, there was something valuable, something scalable. I started by meeting the staff. The drivers were worn out, underpaid, and overlooked. Dispatch was a nightmare. Manual scheduling on whiteboards. No wonder customers were leaving. I called a meeting. Everyone showed up, half expecting me to fire them all. Instead, I stood in front of them and said, Look, I know this company's been sinking. But that ends today. You have my word. Nobody's losing their job. Not if you're ready to fight with me. Silence. Then, one driver in the back nodded. Another crossed his arms, skeptical. And one woman, dispatch manager named Lisa, stepped forward. I've been waiting 5 years for someone to say that. That was the start. I spent the next 48 hours barely sleeping. I brought in software developers to automate dispatch, negotiated with a mechanic to refurbish the fleet at half the cost, called every client personally, apologized for the past, and promised change, and then came the biggest win yet. Remember that contract I'd spotted? The one about to explode because of the retailer merger? I locked it in, multiplied it, tripled it. Because while everyone was focused on failure, I was focused on leverage. But just when it seemed like the tide was turning, the past came knocking. Late one evening, as I was reviewing invoices, Someone walked into the office uninvited. I looked up, and my heart nearly stopped. It was him, my former partner, the man who ruined me, the man who stole everything. He smiled, like nothing had ever happened. Well, well, look who's pretending to be a businessman again. I stood slowly, every muscle tense. What do you want? He chuckled, stepping closer. Just wanted to see how my old friend was doing. Shame. You should have stayed in that Uber. Because what's coming, you're not ready for. He dropped an envelope on my desk. See you soon. And just like that, he was gone. Inside the envelope, a lawsuit, a fabricated claim designed to strangle my new company before it even got off the ground. If you're feeling this comeback story, hit that like button. And if you want to see how I handle this, subscribe now. You won't want to miss what's coming. My hands shook, but not with fear, with fire, with determination. If he thought this was going to break me, he had no idea who I'd become. Wasn't the man he betrayed anymore. I was something else now, and I was ready for war. The lawsuit sat on my desk like a loaded weapon. I flipped through the pages, false claims, fabricated debts, and accusations that were as ridiculous as they were dangerous. He wasn't just trying to hurt me. He was trying to bury me. I took a deep breath, pulled out my phone, and called the only person who'd know what to do. Victor. His voice was calm. Expected this? You expected it? I asked, stunned. Of course, he replied. You're not the only one rebuilding, Daniel. He knows what you're doing. He's scared. This is desperation disguised as aggression. Victor's words hit me like a shot of adrenaline. So, what's the play? Simple, Victor said. Fight smart, not angry. I'm sending you a contact. Best corporate attorney in the city. Her name's Vanessa. She doesn't lose. Ever. 5 minutes later, I was in my car, driving toward an office tower uptown. The kind of place where the marble floors shine so bright you could see your reflection. Vanessa was exactly what I didn't expect. Mid-30s, sharp eyes, no nonsense. She didn't waste a second. Daniel, I've read the suit. It's weak. Designed to drain your time, your energy, and your wallet. But he made a mistake. She slid a file across the table. Inside, documents I'd never seen, bank transfers, emails, proof of his fraud, stuff he must have thought was buried deep. I've been tracking your partner for months, she said. Victor briefed me when he brought you in. You're not the first person your partner tried to ruin, but you might be the last. For the first time in months, I felt something shift. This wasn't defense. This was offense. Here's what we're going to do, Vanessa continued. We're filing a counterclaim. Fraud, defamation, malicious, interference, and we freeze his assets while we're at it. I grinned. Let's do it. But just as we were about to proceed, my phone buzzed. A notification from the delivery company's tracking app. My heart sank. Half the fleet was offline. Routes disrupted. Orders canceled. I called Lisa, the dispatch manager. Her voice was frantic. Someone hacked our system. Schedules are wiped. GPS is down. Drivers are sitting, waiting. Customers are furious. It hit me instantly. This wasn't just legal warfare. It was sabotage. I raced back to the office, my mind running faster than the wheels of my car. When I arrived, the scene was chaos. Phones ringing non-stop, drivers yelling, clients threatening to walk away. Lisa ran up, breathless. I don't know how, but someone bypassed the firewall. They knew exactly where to hit us. I stood in the center of the chaos, fists clenched. The old me, the version that collapsed under pressure, was gone. I wasn't that man anymore. Everyone listen up, I shouted. This is just another storm. And like every storm, it passes. Lisa, pull the paper records. Dispatch manually. Drivers, focus on VIP clients first. No one leaves until this is fixed. We don't quit. Not today. Not ever. For a moment, everyone was still. Then, heads nodded. Phones were picked up. Orders scribbled on whiteboards. The team My team rallied, and in that moment, I realized something powerful. I wasn't just rebuilding a company, I was rebuilding people, a culture, a family. If you're feeling the fire in this story, smash that like button. And if you want to see how we fight back, hit subscribe right now. This battle is just heating up. By midnight, the crisis was contained. The hackers were locked out. The orders went out. Late, but delivered. But I knew this wasn't over. As I sat at my desk, phone buzzing with client updates, I whispered to myself, they picked the wrong guy to mess with. The next morning, I woke up to two things, a pounding headache and an inbox flooded with both complaints and support. Clients who'd been furious the day before were now sending messages like, thanks for pulling through. And drivers, they were different, energized, united, but something else was waiting in that inbox. An anonymous email. No sender, no subject, just a single sentence. You survived round 1. Let's see how you handle round 2. I clenched my jaw. This wasn't just sabotage, this was a declaration of war. I forwarded the email straight to Vanessa and Victor. Seconds later, Victor called. You still think this is about trucks and deliveries? He asked. Wake up, Daniel. This is chess, and your opponent plays dirty. Then I'll play smarter, I replied. Victor chuckled. That's the spirit. By noon, Vanessa called with news that nearly knocked me off my feet. We've just received confirmation. The court has approved a temporary freeze on your ex-partner's assets. He's panicking. I couldn't help but smile. Good. Let him. But while one fire cooled, another was sparking. Lisa rushed into my office, her face pale. Daniel, we've got a problem. What now? I asked, bracing myself. She pulled up the city's permit portal on her tablet. Our main warehouse. It's being flagged. Zoning violations, safety inspections. Suddenly, we're being told we can't operate here unless we fix a list of issues. I scanned the list. Ridiculous. Half of these weren't even real. Problems. This was pressure. Bureaucratic harassment. Someone was pulling strings. We shut down. We lose everything. Lisa said quietly. I stood. We're not shutting down. I made one phone call. To someone I hadn't spoken to in years. A former client back in my old life. Now, a city councilman. He owed me. Big time. When he picked up, I didn't waste time. Tom, I need a favor. And you know I'm not the kind of man who asks twice. There was silence. Then, a sigh. I figured I'd hear from you eventually. All right, tell me everything. By the end of that call, the fake violations were under review and the so-called emergency inspections were postponed. Temporary breathing room, but only temporary. Still, the message was clear. They wanted me overwhelmed, drowned in problems, exhausted into quitting, but they didn't understand something crucial. I wasn't the same man they blindsided a year ago. Every punch, every attack, it just sharpened me. That night I gathered the entire company, drivers, dispatch, admin, everyone. I stood in front of them and said, look, I'm not going to lie to you. This isn't easy. Someone wants us to fail. They want us to fold. But here's the thing. We don't fold. We adapt. We fight. And we win. The room went silent. And then, one by one, heads nodded. A few claps. Then more. Until the entire warehouse filled with the sound of something I hadn't heard in months. Belief. If you're inspired by this fight, smash that like button. And if you're ready to see how this comeback continues, hit that subscribe. Because trust me, it's only getting crazier from here. As everyone went back to work, my phone buzzed again. Another text. Careful, Daniel. You think this is war? No, war hasn't even started yet. I stared at the screen, my jaw tightening. Bring it, I muttered. I'm ready. Because this wasn't just about saving a company anymore. This was personal. The next morning started different. I woke up calm, not because the storm was over, but because I realized something. They weren't coming after me because I was weak. They were coming because I was winning. And that meant one thing. Keep moving. Keep building. I headed straight to the office and found Lisa already there, papers scattered across her desk. "Daniel, we've got an opportunity," she said, eyes glowing with the kind of energy that only comes when you know something big's on the line. She pointed at the screen. "A competitor. Bigger than us. Struggling. Rumors say they're about to lose their biggest contract. If we play this right, we can take it." I leaned over, scanning the details. She was right. Their failure was our opening. Without wasting a second, I picked up the phone and called the client directly. The kind of aggressive, unapologetic move the old me wouldn't have hesitated to make. "Look," I told them, "you don't know me, yet. But I know your logistics are falling apart. I can solve that. Fast, reliable, scalable. Give me 24 hours. Let me prove it." There was silence on the other end. Then, "Fine, you've got one day. Show me." Click. That was it. No second chances, no safety nets. Deliver or lose everything. I turned to the team. "All right, everyone, listen close. We've got 24 hours to show we're the best in the city. No mistakes, no excuses. You ready?" The answer was instant. Nods, focused eyes, people grabbing clipboards, tablets, and radios. What followed was chaos, but beautiful chaos. Trucks loaded, routes optimized, drivers running nonstop, phones ringing with updates. Lisa worked dispatch like a general commanding troops in battle. For the first time since taking over this company, it felt alive. And right in the middle of the madness, I got another text. "You're moving fast, but not fast enough." Attached was a photo of me, standing in the warehouse, taken just moments ago. My blood ran cold. Someone wasn't just watching from a distance. They were here. I scanned the room, the drivers, the office workers, the mechanics. Any one of them could be the mole. But there was no time to panic, no time to chase shadows. Right now, the mission was simple. Deliver, prove ourselves, win, and we did, against every obstacle. By the time the day ended, not only were all deliveries completed, but the client called me back. "We're switching, effective immediately. You've got the contract." I hung up, stunned for a moment, then shouted, "We got it." The warehouse erupted. Cheers, high fives, people hugging. But even as I celebrated, the photo in my inbox burned in my mind. Someone was close. Someone didn't want this win to happen, and they were far from finished. If this fight is hitting close to home, smash that like button. And if you're ready to see how deep this goes, subscribe right now. What's coming next will shock you. That night, as I locked up the office, a voice called out from the shadows, "Daniel, we need to talk." I turned slowly and saw someone I never expected, not an enemy, not a rival, but someone from my past, who had the power to either save everything I'd built or destroy it with a single sentence. Comment below if you've ever faced a moment where one conversation could change your whole life. Let's share those stories. We grow stronger together. I turned toward the voice, and there he was, Elias, my former mentor, the man who taught me everything about business when I was still in my 20s, the same man I hadn't seen since the day I walked out of his office, convinced I didn't need anyone's help anymore. He looked older, sharper, but those eyes, they hadn't changed. Cold, calculating, brilliant. "Elias," I said cautiously, "didn't think I'd ever see you again." He walked closer, hands in his coat pockets. "Yeah, well, neither did I, but I hear you're stirring things up, Daniel, making enemies. Fast." I crossed my arms. "Funny. I always thought making moves came with the territory." He smirked. "It does, but making enemies, the wrong ones, that's what buries people." I felt the tension rise like static in the air. "So what? You're here to warn me?" Elias shook his head. "No, I'm here to offer you something, information." He glanced around, then lowered his voice. "There's a bigger game at play than you realize. This sabotage, The lawsuits? The city permits? It's not just your former partner behind it. My eyes narrowed. Then who? Elias hesitated. I don't know yet, but whoever it is, they're organized, smart, and ruthless. He pulled out an envelope and handed it to me. This is a start. Surveillance photos, financial trails, phone records, leads. Look into it. I flipped through it. Bank accounts offshore, wire transfers, a shadow company, connected to someone I never would have suspected. Elias put a hand on my shoulder. Careful, Daniel. You're not fighting a man anymore. You're fighting a machine. And then, as quickly as he arrived, he was gone. I stood there for a moment, digesting what just happened. Then I snapped into action. I drove straight to Victor's office. He was waiting. I figured you'd come, he said, gesturing to a chair. Let's see what the old fox handed you. We spread the documents across his desk. The deeper we went, the clearer it became. This wasn't just personal revenge. My former partner had sold pieces of his old businesses and debts to a silent investor, someone hiding behind shell corporations, someone powerful. Victor's jaw tightened. This is dangerous. You've rattled someone who doesn't like being seen. Good, I said, fire building in my chest. Let them see me. Victor smiled, leaning back. That's the Daniel I bet on. He slid a folder toward me. You've got momentum. Use it, expand, buy more trucks, scale faster, take over the market before they figure out how to stop you. Done, I said without hesitation. But just as I was about to leave, Victor added, and Daniel, keep your eyes open. From now on, trust no one completely, not even me. That hit different. Back at my office, I started calling investors, leverage the new contract, hire more drivers, secure a second warehouse. The momentum was real, but as I sat there, phone still pressed to my ear, a notification popped up on my laptop. An email, no subject, no sender, just one line. Check the news tomorrow. Let's see how bulletproof you really are. My heart pounded. I clicked refresh, again and again, waiting for the clock to strike midnight. Whatever was coming, I knew it was going to be big. I barely slept that night. My eyes stayed glued to the clock, waiting, dreading. And then, at exactly 6:03 a.m., the first news alert hit my phone. Local business owner under investigation for fraud. Sources say, past catches up to former entrepreneur turned delivery. Operator. My face went numb. I clicked the link. There it was. My name, my photo. Headlines painting me as a criminal. Claims that I was running a fraudulent company, that my success was built on shady deals, that clients should be careful. It was everywhere. Local news, social media, blogs, forums, a smear campaign, perfectly timed, perfectly executed. My phone exploded with calls, clients panicking, drivers asking if they still had jobs, my staff staring at me with a mix of confusion and fear. I walked into the middle of the office and raised my hands. Everybody, calm down. Look at me. I scanned every face. None of this is true, and you know that. You've seen how we work. You've seen how we fight. We don't fold because someone tells a lie. Lisa stepped forward, voice shaking, but steady. Daniel, what do we do? I grabbed my phone, scrolled, and hit record, looked straight into the camera. This is Daniel. Some of you know me as the guy behind this company. Others know me as the man who lost everything. And started over driving Uber, and now you're seeing my name in headlines, lies, fabrications, designed to scare you, designed to destroy what we've built. But here's the truth. I paused. Let the tension breathe. We aren't going anywhere. We don't back down. We don't break. If you believe in second chances, if you believe in standing up when life tries to bury you, then stand with us. I posted it everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, anywhere someone might be listening. Within minutes, the comments started flooding in. Clients, drivers, even strangers. Messages of support. Stories from people who had started over. People who knew what it meant to rebuild from ashes, but it wasn't enough to fight online. I needed to hit back where it hurt. I called Vanessa. Can we sue? Her voice was sharp. Absolutely. Defamation, intentional infliction of harm. We go after the station, the blogs, the anonymous sources, everyone. Do it, I said. Don't hold back. Then I called Victor. You saw it? Already moving, he replied. This means you're close. They don't attack this hard unless they're scared. Then let's give them something to be scared of. I growled. Exactly, Victor replied. The biggest revenge is massive success. You ready to expand? More than ever, I said. By noon, the smear campaign was starting to crack. Clients who knew the truth pushed back publicly. Drivers posted videos defending the company. And orders didn't slow. If anything, they grew. But just when it felt like we were turning the tide, an email came through. A single line. Check your bank accounts. My stomach dropped. I opened the company's finance portal. Frozen. Completely frozen. All funds locked. Account flagged for suspicious activity. Under investigation. I leaned back in my chair, breathing heavy. They were going for the throat. No money, no operations, no payroll. But what they didn't realize was that I'd prepared for this. I pulled open the drawer, grabbed the backup drive, and dialed a number I hadn't called in years. Hey, it's Daniel. I need that favor, now. Comment if you've ever had to fight when everything was stacked against you. Let's talk. Let's stand together. The phone rang twice before a voice answered. Deep, rough, unmistakably familiar. Didn't think I'd ever hear from you again, Daniel. Yeah, me neither, I replied. But I need that favor, right now. There was a pause, then a chuckle. You wouldn't be calling unless it was life or death. What's the problem? Bank accounts frozen. Smear campaign. Sabotage. Someone's trying to kill my company. Same someone who burned you before? Worse, bigger, smarter. Another pause. All right, I'll move some pieces. But you better be ready to move fast, because once I flip this switch, there's no going back. Do it, I said without hesitation. I hung up and immediately turned to Lisa, who was watching me with wide eyes. Daniel, payrolls, in 24 hours. If we don't solve this, we will, I cut in. But from this second forward, cash only. Every transaction, every delivery, every client, no exceptions. But we've never done that, she stammered. First time for everything, I said. Print invoices, collect payments on delivery, whatever it takes. We don't stop. We don't stop. The team jumped into action. Drivers were briefed. Clients were called. Some grumbled, some pushed back, but most understood. They'd seen the news. They knew what was happening. By midday, something wild happened. Clients started paying in advance, dropping cash, wire transfers to personal accounts, anything to keep things moving. I realized something then. The truth? The community didn't want us to fail. They wanted us to win. Because they saw themselves in this fight. But the hits kept coming. As Lisa processed a pile of cash orders, her phone buzzed. She glanced down, and her face went pale. Daniel, it's the Department of Transportation. They've flagged half our fleet for emergency inspections, effective immediately. If we don't comply, we're grounded. I slammed my hands on the desk. They're choking us from every angle, she nodded. If we lose the truck, we're done. I paced for a second, then stopped cold. No, we don't play their game. I grabbed my phone and called every rental agency in the city. Vans, box trucks, cargo vehicles. If it had wheels, I was booking it. By 4 p.m., the parking lot looked like a used car lot. Unmarked trucks, rental vans. Anything that could carry a package was now part of our fleet. Lisa laughed, half hysterical, half amazed. I've never seen anything like this. Neither have they, I grinned. Let's show them how scrappy looks. The drivers adapted, no logos, no GPS tracking. Old school routes printed on paper. And you know what? It worked. By sunset, every delivery was made. Clients were posting photos on social media. This company doesn't quit. Real fighters. I stand with them. But then, the final message of the day hit my phone. Cute little workaround today. But tomorrow, check the warehouse. My stomach twisted. I grabbed my keys. Lisa was right behind me. We pulled up to the warehouse and stopped cold. Police tape, fire trucks, smoke, the side of the building, charred black. A fire, a deliberate one. My hands clenched into fists, teeth gritted, breath shallow. You think this ends me? I whispered to no one. You have no idea who you're messing with. I pulled out my phone, called Victor, called Vanessa, called every ally I had left. It's time, I said. No more playing defense. We go on the attack. Because this wasn't just business anymore. This was war. The smell of smoke was still thick in the air when I stepped under the police tape. My warehouse, or what was left of it, stood charred and broken. But the fire didn't burn everything. Not me, not my fight. Victor pulled up minutes later, stepping out of his black SUV like he'd been expecting this. They're scared, he said calmly, scanning the damage. Only scared people hit this hard. Vanessa arrived right behind him, flipping through legal documents as she walked. Arson, property damage, attempted sabotage. Trust me, Daniel. This is going to court, and this time, they won't walk away smiling. But I wasn't thinking about court. Not yet. I was thinking about today, about tomorrow, about how to keep my people employed, my clients served, my business alive. Victor turned to me, his expression razor sharp. You've got two choices, Daniel. Fold or pivot. Fast. I clenched my fists. Fold isn't in my vocabulary. Good, he nodded. Because I've already started making calls. Temporary warehouse space, private lots, even a fleet of refrigerated trucks you can lease on the spot. Expensive, but available. I grinned through the smoke. Then we pivot. We set up operations in a matter of hours. An empty parking lot became dispatch HQ. Pop-up tents housed logistics. Drivers pulled up in everything from U-Haul trucks to borrowed SUVs. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't perfect, but it worked. By sunrise, deliveries were moving, faster than anyone expected. Clients were shocked and impressed. One even posted online, their warehouse burned down last night, and my delivery still arrived before 9 a.m. Respect. But amidst the chaos, a breakthrough. Vanessa called, her voice shaking. Not with fear, but excitement. Daniel, we found it. The money trail, offshore accounts, fake invoices, shell companies, your former partner, and the silent investor behind him. Who is it? I asked, gripping the phone tighter. She hesitated for half a second. It's bigger than we thought. It's a competitor, a major logistics corporation. They've been funding your ex-partner, feeding him resources, helping him sabotage you, because your growth was threatening their market share. My stomach twisted, but not with fear, with fury. Then it's time to turn the heat up. Victor's voice cut in over speaker. Daniel, we go public, expose them. Let the world see who they really are. Trust me, when sunlight hits. Cockroaches, they scatter. Let's do it, I said. We assembled everything. Emails, transaction logs, voice recordings, legal documents. And then we did what they never expected. We went live. I stood in front of a camera, streaming on every platform. For the past months, someone's tried to destroy what we've built. Fires, lawsuits, smear campaigns. But they forgot something. The truth always comes out. I showed the evidence. Named the corporations, the individuals, the crimes. I laid it bare for the world to see. The response? Immediate. Explosive. Comments. Shares. News outlets picking up the story within minutes. Clients rallied. Community. Leaders posted their support. Even competitors, ones who respected the fight, reached out offering help. And then, the final hit. A notification popped up. Breaking: federal investigators open inquiry into corporate sabotage scandal. I leaned back, exhaled, and whispered, game on. If you're fired up watching this battle unfold, smash that like button. And if you're ready to see how this fight ends, subscribe now, because the next move rewrites everything. But just as the momentum swung in our favor, another message appeared. Impressive move, Daniel. But you've got one more enemy you haven't seen yet, and they're closer than you think. I froze. My eyes scanned the room. The drivers, the staff, the allies. Someone was still inside. Just got personal. The message haunted me. You've got one more enemy you haven't seen yet, and they're closer than you think. I stood in the center of the pop-up office, scanning every face. Lisa organizing dispatch, drivers laughing near the coffee station, my accountant, John, reviewing invoices, people I trusted, people who had fought beside me, or had they? I pulled Victor aside. We've got a rat, someone inside. He nodded, jaw tight. Yeah, figured as much. Sabotage this precise doesn't happen unless someone's feeding them intel. I called Vanessa. Can we trace the message? Already trying, she replied. Encrypted, bounced through a dozen VPNs, but give me time. I'll crack it. But time wasn't something we had, because just then, a truck rolled into the lot. One of ours. Or it should have been. The logo was there. The license plate matched. But something was off. The driver stepped out, a guy I didn't recognize. No uniform, no ID badge. I walked over, instincts firing. You knew? I asked casually. He stiffened. Yeah, started this week. Strange, I knew every new hire by name. I pulled my phone, pretending to check something. Quietly texted Lisa. Check. Is there anyone named Mark on the driver roster? 3 dots. Then, no one by that name. My heartbeat spiked. I looked back up at him. Calm, controlled. Cool. Welcome aboard. Mind if I check the load sheet? His eyes flicked, nervous. Sure. He fumbled for paperwork that didn't exist. I signaled Victor with the subtlest nod. He caught it instantly, walking toward the rear of the truck like he was just inspecting cargo. Within seconds, he popped the latch. Empty. No packages. Nothing. Victor's voice was low, dark. Daniel, it's a scout. They're testing us. The fake driver realized the jig was up. He bolted, sprinting across the lot. But 2 of my drivers, real ones, tackled him to the ground before he made it 10 feet. We pulled his phone. 1. Glance told the story. Text chains, photos of the warehouse layout, notes on our security routines. A message thread titled, Boss. Victor handed it to me. Check this out. I scrolled. Froze. The mole wasn't just some outsider. The messages included inside info, client lists, payroll details, even the location of our backup inventory, things only one person in this company had access to. My accountant. John, the man I'd trusted to handle our finances. The same man who'd sat quietly in the corner for weeks, always watching, always listening. Rage bubbled inside me. I stormed toward his desk. John, you want to explain this? I slammed the phone down in front of him. His face went ghost white. Daniel, Save it. I cut him off. You've been feeding them, selling us out. He stammered. It's not what you think. I needed the money. They threatened me. I didn't have a choice. No, I growled. You did have a choice, and you chose wrong. Victor stepped in, grabbing John by the arm. Cops are on the way. You're done. John didn't fight. He knew it was over. But even as they cuffed him and dragged him away, I realized something. This fight was bigger than one mole, bigger than one crooked partner. This was a system, a machine, designed to crush anyone who tried to rise, but I wasn't backing down. Not now, not ever. I turned to Victor and Vanessa. It's time. No more defense, no more waiting. Victor nodded. Agreed, we go all in. Because the next move wasn't just about saving my business. It was about burning their empire to the ground. The moment John was hauled away in handcuffs, something inside me clicked. No more hesitation, no more playing defense. If they wanted war, then war was exactly what they were getting. I gathered my core team, Lisa, Victor, Vanessa, and the drivers who'd proven themselves through every storm. "Listen closely," I said, scanning every determined face. "This ends now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now." Victor laid it out plain. "We're going to hit them where it hurts. Public exposure, legal firepower, and economic pressure, simultaneously." Vanessa chimed in, tapping a thick folder. "I've prepared lawsuits that will freeze their assets, block their operations, and drag every dirty deal into the light." But the real dagger came from Victor. He slid his tablet across the table. On the screen, satellite images, financial, records, supply chain maps. "See this?" he pointed. "This is their main distribution hub. If something were to disrupt it, even for a day, they'd bleed millions." I leaned in. "You're suggesting we leverage it," Victor said smoothly. "Completely legal, completely effective. The city's about to rezone this property for a new highway project. If we buy the right debt, the right liens, we can pull the permit." My eyes widened. "You mean shut their hub down?" Exactly. It was bold, risky, perfect. We worked all night. Vanessa filed the legal assaults, fraud, conspiracy, sabotage. Simultaneously, Victor pulled strings in real estate, snapping up the debt on their key property. By sunrise, we owned the fate of their main hub. And then, the final blow. I scheduled a press conference. No gimmicks, no theatrics. Just facts. Standing in front of a wall of cameras, I spoke directly to the city, the clients, and the enemies who thought they'd broken me. For months, we've endured sabotage, lies, fires, lawsuits, all orchestrated by people who believed they could crush small businesses to protect their monopoly. But here's the thing. I paused, scanning the cameras. "You don't destroy people like me. You just teach us how to fight harder." I unveiled everything. The paper trails, the recorded phone calls, the shell corporations. I named names. Showed documents, played voice memos, but the final dagger was this. As of this morning, their main distribution hub is no longer operational. Legally seized, permits revoked, operations frozen. The news hit like a tsunami. Journalists flooded the airwaves. Social media exploded. Clients canceled contracts with my enemies overnight. Their stock tanked. Victor leaned over, whispering with a grin. "Checkmate." But even as the media frenzy raged, a black car pulled up near the press conference. Out stepped him, my former partner. Pale, shaken, eyes wide with disbelief. For the first time, I saw fear. Real fear. He stormed toward me, pointing a trembling finger. You don't know what you've done." I stared him down. "No, you don't know what I've become." Police officers flanked him. Vanessa handed over the files. Fraud, money laundering, conspiracy. They didn't even let him finish screaming before the cuffs were on. As they shoved him into the car, I walked away. Calm, steady, focused. Because this wasn't just revenge. This was the beginning of something far bigger. If this comeback story has you fired up, smash that like button. And if you believe in fighting for what's yours, subscribe. Because the grand finale is next. But just when I thought the fight was over, my phone buzzed. A message. "You won the battle, Daniel. But are you ready for what comes next?" My fists clenched. Because some wars don't end. They evolve. I stood there staring at that message. "You won the battle, Daniel. But are you ready for what comes next?" For a split second, doubt crept in. Was there still another enemy? Another fight waiting around the corner? But then, I smiled. Because at this point, there was nothing left in this world that could scare me. Victor walked up, reading the message over my shoulder. "Let them come," he said with a grin. "You've already proven you're bulletproof." Vanessa joined us, handing me a folder. "We just got confirmation. The feds are officially opening a full-scale investigation into the entire network. Your ex-partner, the corrupt competitor, everyone involved. You started a fire, and it's not going out anytime soon. For the first time in years. I felt it. Not just relief. Not just victory. Freedom. But I wasn't done. Not even close. I turned to Lisa and the team. This company isn't just a delivery service anymore. We're expanding. Logistics, warehousing, freight, nationwide. Anyone who ever believed in second chances, this is where they get one. The room erupted. Smiles, cheers, drivers hugging each other, dispatch high-fiving. It wasn't just a win, it was rebirth. But amidst the celebration, I stepped outside for a breath. Watched the sunset. Watched the city I once thought I'd lost, but had reclaimed with my own hands. A notification pinged. An email. Congratulations, Daniel. You've done well. Better than anyone expected. But let me give you a piece of advice. Success brings new enemies. Stay sharp. No name. No sender. Just that. I shook my head, chuckling. Let them. Come, I whispered. Let every shark, every snake, every vulture out there come for me. Because I don't fear the fight anymore. I am the fight. I walked back into the office. The screens showed live order tracking, trucks moving, clients signing contracts, new partnerships coming in faster than we could process. Victor leaned against the wall, smiling. You did it, Daniel. No, I corrected. We did it. He nodded. What's next? I scanned the room, the team, the family we'd built through fire. Simple. We scale, we hire more, we grow. But most importantly, we never forget how this started. Humble, hungry, and with nothing but grit. Vanessa raised a glass of water. To second chances, and to those who fight for them. To second chances, the team echoed, raising theirs. If you've been with me on this journey, hit that like button. And if this story inspired you, subscribe. Because the final chapter is the one that proves everything. That night, as I locked up the office, I glanced at the old Uber sticker still sitting on the corner of my car's windshield. I touched it gently, smiled, and whispered, "Thank you. You were never the end, just the beginning." Because sometimes, rock bottom isn't where your story ends. It's where your real story starts. It's strange, isn't it? How life can rip you apart, only to rebuild you into someone stronger than you ever imagined. As I stood in our brand new headquarters, a glass-walled, bustling hub full of drivers, dispatchers and managers, I couldn't help but reflect. Less than a year ago, I was behind the wheel of an Uber wondering if my life was over. Now, I was leading one of the fastest-growing logistics companies in the region. But this story was never just about me. It was about every driver who stuck with me when things burned, literally. About Lisa, who turned chaos into order. About Victor, who saw in me what I'd forgotten about myself. About Vanessa, who fought battles in court so we could win battles in the streets. And about everyone watching, who's ever been knocked down and wondered if they could get back up. Yes, you can. But the truth? Winning doesn't mean life suddenly gets easy. It just means you're strong enough to handle the next storm. Because right when everything was running smoothly, new clients, new contracts, a nationwide expansion underway, I got one final call. "Daniel," Victor said, voice serious, "you're not going to believe this. But the investor group that tried to bury you, they just filed for bankruptcy. You crushed them." I stood there, stunned. "It's over." Victor chuckled. "Oh, it's over. For them. But for us, this is just the beginning." That day, I walked into the boardroom, stood before my entire company, now 200 employees strong, and said the words I'd waited so long to say. "Everyone, we made it. But we don't stop here. We build, we grow, and we become the company." That proves no setback, no betrayal, no failure can ever define who we are. Only we decide that. The room erupted in applause, cheers, hugs. But in the back corner, my eyes caught something. An old framed photo. Me, sitting in my car. Uber sticker on the windshield. Head in my hands. The day it all started, I walked over, touched the glass, whispered, "Never forget where you came from," because I wouldn't be the man I am today, without the fall, without the betrayal, without the grind, without the humbling, gut-wrenching moments of driving strangers just to make rent. And to anyone listening, watching, wondering if their life can turn around, I'll tell you this: it can, it will, but no one's coming to save you. You save yourself. You drive that car. You show up when no one's watching. You take the hits, and then one day, you look around and realize you're unstoppable. As I walked out of the boardroom that day, the sun hit my face. A new day, a new chapter, because this isn't the end. This is just the beginning. If this story inspired you even a little, smash that like button, subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, because comebacks aren't just stories. They're blueprints for anyone who refuses to quit. Comment if this story lit a fire in you. If you've ever been through the storm and come out stronger, this is your story too. Let's rise together.